All right, strap in, everyone, because today we're diving into a story that's, well, it's pretty wild. We're talking about how the crypto world basically went from being left for dead to suddenly wielding some serious political muscle here in the U.S. And it all happened crazy fast.
Yeah, I mean, it really is remarkable how quickly this whole thing unfolded. Just a couple of years ago, this industry was on the ropes, and now it's like they're calling the shots in Washington.
It's a total roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
So let's set the stage here. It's late 2022, and the crypto market is like full-on meltdown mode. Exchanges are collapsing left and right. Investors are seeing their life savings basically vanish. And the SEC, they're cracking down hard.
Yeah, it was like a perfect storm brewing. The Fed starts raising interest rates, spooking investors, and then boom, this whole cascade of high-profile crashes just completely shatters confidence in the entire crypto space.
Oh, man, those headlines were brutal. Remember Celsius Network? They froze all withdrawals. And Binance, they had to halt transactions. Then you've got the stable coins, Luna and Terra USD, just totally imploding. And of course, the big one, the FTX collapse and Sam Bankman-Fried ending up, well, behind bars.
It was chaos, pure chaos. And that lack of regulation, that's really what I think pushed the industry to completely change their game plan. They realized they couldn't just keep operating in the Wild West like that.
Right, they had to figure out how to play the Washington game. And that's where Brian Armstrong comes in, CEO of Coinbase. He kind of takes a step back from all the wreckage, and he comes up with this pretty audacious plan. Not only to save the crypto industry, but to turn it into a real political force.
And it all starts in September of 2023 at the Messari Mainnet conference in New York. Armstrong, he gets up on stage and he lays it out there, plain and simple.
Yeah, he doesn't mince words. He's like, look, if we want to survive in D.C., we got to learn to speak the language of money. He points to Wall Street, big oil, all those giants. They spend millions influencing policy. And the crypto world, they're practically playing with pennies.
He even uses AI PAC as an example, Those guys, they've been incredibly effective at shaping U.S. policy for decades. And Armstrong is basically saying, look, if they can do it, we can too.
And right there with him is Ryan Selkis, the CEO of Messari. He jumps on board, full steam ahead. He even compares, get this, he compares what the crypto industry was spending on lobbying to what Ohio pipefitters spend to protect their interests.
Yeah, it's like even pipefitters get it. They understand the power of lobbying in Washington, so why not the industry of the future, right?
So Armstrong, he puts his money where his mouth is. Coinbase starts donating to this crypto pack called Fairshake. And he's calling on all the other industry leaders to do the same. The goal, build a force strong enough to not just support pro-crypto candidates, but to take down anyone who gets in their way.
It was a bold move, especially with the industry's reputation being, what it was at the time. But as we're about to see, it turned out to be incredibly effective.
And that brings us to the 2024 election cycle. They didn't just hit Armstrong's target, they smashed it. They raised a mind-blowing $200 million for Fairshake and their allies, making them the top spender in U.S. politics, period.
And they were smart about it. They didn't just back one party, they spread the money around. Republicans, Democrats, they made sure they had friends on both sides of the aisle.
Like a chess game.
Nice.
Carefully placing their pieces for maximum impact. And they weren't afraid to play hardball either. They went after specific politicians who had been outspoken against crypto, people like Katie Porter and Jamal Bowman.
And guess what? Both of them are out of office now.
The Ohio Senate race, that was another big one. The crypto lobby poured something like $40 million into that state, just to make sure that Bernie Moreno, the pro-crypto Republican, beat out Sherrod Brown, who had been, pretty skeptical of crypto.
It's just wild how much money can influence these elections.
And the overall impact was huge. Fairshake helped get 48 crypto-friendly candidates elected from both parties. They spent $135 million doing it. And just like that, we have the most pro-crypto Congress in history.
It's crazy, right? They went from being on the defensive to basically calling the shots on regulation.
And to really drive the point home, Armstrong, after the election, he goes on X, what used to be Twitter, and he posts, quote, Washington, D.C. has received a clear message. Opposing cryptocurrencies is a surefire way to end your political career.
Yeah.
Mic drop, right? But here's where things get even wilder. Remember Donald Trump, the guy who called Bitcoin a scam, a fraud, back in 2021? Well, get ready for this, because during the 2024 campaign, he does a complete 180.
Yeah, it's like someone flipped a switch. And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. It's like one minute he's calling Bitcoin a total scam. The next, he's practically a Bitcoin evangelist. Trump's out there on the campaign trail, talking up crypto at rallies. even hinting that he might launch his own digital currency.
Oh, come on. Seriously. Trump coin. That's an image.
World Liberty Financial, actually. But yeah, I mean, the timing of this whole crypto conversion is what's really interesting. It just happens to coincide with some pretty sizable donations from some big names in the crypto world.
Ah, follow the money. Right.
Exactly. We're talking about the Winklevoss twins, Jesse Powell, the founder of Kraken Exchange. These guys, they pour at least $25 million into Trump's campaign.
So what's Trump promising in return for all that crypto cash?
Well, for starters, he vows to fire Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, who'd basically become enemy number one for the crypto industry. Trump says he'll replace him with someone much more, let's say, crypto-friendly.
Yeah, makes sense. Get rid of the guy who's cracking down on you and bring in someone who's, willing to play ball.
It's classic politics.
But it's not just Trump, right? With this new pro-crypto Congress, the industry suddenly has a lot of powerful allies.
Oh yeah, they've got the wind at their backs now.
And the market definitely noticed. Bitcoin goes through the roof. New all-time high of $88,000. And analysts were saying, $100,000, that's just around the corner.
This is where you really start to see the impact of all that political maneuvering. It's not just about changing regulations. It's about creating a whole new environment for the crypto industry to thrive.
Okay, so paint a picture for us. What does this new crypto-powered world actually look like? We've got a pro-crypto president, a Congress full of crypto supporters, Bitcoin's going to the moon.
Well, for one thing, it means the crypto industry has a much bigger voice now when it comes to shaping policy. Look at Senator Tim Scott, for example. He's a huge crypto advocate, and he's likely to be the next chair of the Senate Banking Committee. That's a major win for the industry, having one of their own in such a powerful position.
It's like they've managed to get their people into key positions of power. What about the companies, though, like Coinbase? How are they doing in this brave new crypto world?
They're doing pretty well, to say the least. Coinbase's stock price jumps 44% after Trump's victory. Brian Armstrong, his personal wealth goes up by, get this, $2 billion. His net worth is now somewhere around $14 billion.
Wow, talk about a comeback story, right? From the brink of collapse to total domination.
But it does make you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, this level of political influence, it's kind of unprecedented for a single industry. While it seems like a win for crypto right now, could there be some downsides we need to be thinking about?
Oh, absolutely. There are always two sides to every coin, so to speak, and that's exactly what we're going to explore in part 3 of this deep dive.
So we've seen crypto go from this, like, deep freeze to what looks like a pretty sunny spring, at least for some people, right? I mean, Bitcoin's supposed to hit $100,000 any day now. Brian Armstrong's walking around with an extra couple $1 billion in his pocket. But let's zoom out for a second. What does all this actually mean for, for the average person? Will this crypto-powered world actually make their lives better? That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, some people argue that this is the path to more financial inclusion, more opportunity for everyone. But you gotta wonder, could it also just end up making the rich even richer?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for someone like the Winklevoss twins to throw millions of dollars at a political campaign. But for the average person who's just trying to, make ends meet, does any of this political stuff actually make a difference in their lives?
It's a valid concern. The more power this industry gains, the more they can shape the rules to benefit themselves.
Right. So does that actually lead to more consumer protection,
Yeah.
a level playing field for everyone?
Yeah.
Or do we just end up with a system that's rigged to favor the crypto giants?
And it's like, who's watching the Watchmen, right? If no one's holding this new crypto elite accountable, are we just trading one set of problems for other?
Exactly. And what about innovation? If everyone's just focused on getting Bitcoin to $1 million, what happens to all the other potentially valuable ideas in the crypto space?
Right. Does it just become a winner-take-all situation where one approach dominates and stifles any real progress?
So while our sources definitely paint a picture of crypto's political victory, it's important for everyone to think critically about this stuff. Don't just get swept up in all the hype. Think about the potential downsides, the unintended consequences.
That's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive. We're not here to tell you what to think. We just want to give you the information, the tools to analyze it yourself.
And this crypto story is a perfect example. It's fascinating, it's complex, and it has huge implications for everyone.
Absolutely.
We've seen how a group of people with enough money and enough determination can completely reshape the political landscape. But it's up to each of us to decide what that means for the future, for our own financial well-being, for society as a whole.
The sources we looked at, they don't offer any easy answers, and that's kind of the point.
Right.
It's a starting point for your own exploration. Will this level of influence lead to a more stable, more ethical financial system? Or will we see new forms of inequality emerge? These are questions we all need to be thinking about.
So what are your thoughts on all of this? Head down to the comment section and let us know. Let's keep this conversation going because ultimately the future of this technology, its impact on our lives, that's something we all have a stake in.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deeper.